Ladies and gentlemen, the guy at the end of the bar proudly presents the Dantanna's Late Shift. Brought to you by Attorney Giudice. And now the two men to take you to new heights in sports conversation, Nick Cellini and Matt Chernoff. Now back to the Dantanna's Late Shift. Brought to you by Attorney Giudice with the Cellini All Cello Orchestra and the Chernoff Improvisational Mimes.
Speaking of minds, we have one of the great legal minds around. Yes, he is our man on retainer, Giudice, to talk about all things legal in the world of sports. And Ray, it was a controversial week for the folks at Auburn. They always have to seemingly defend themselves. And now we have the Selena Roberts piece first and then the ESPN magazine piece, which I want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
The accusation of synthetic marijuana, the spice, as Mr. Cellini called it. First of all, let's talk about that. And I guess legally, what could be repercussions with that before we talk about other lawsuits?
Well, they violated no laws. No criminal statutes at the time in 2010 prohibited the sale or the use of spice, which is synthetic marijuana, goes under lots of names, K2, spice, bunch of others. Yeah. It's an herb that's sprayed with some chemicals. It's a derivative of marijuana.
All right. So that's one part of it. The other part is in this Selena Roberts piece, there was a mention of Will Muschamp specifically paying a player. If you're Will Muschamp, is that reason to hire counsel and say, you know what, you mentioned my name here, I can sue you?
Well, I would, and I'd send a letter out that says, you know, if you don't have anything to back this up, but he better be careful that she doesn't have something to back it up, because this story is not only breaking, but people are going like this. There's people that are being convicted of felonies from the series of alleged robberies that some of these guys were using spice. They're going to turn on anybody. A drowning man or a drowning college football player will latch a hold of anybody and drag them down with them. So
well, you saw it. Don't do that when it comes to the spice, because it's also hallucinogenic to a certain extent, is it not?
It's bad for you. Yeah. There's no upside for
somebody's face.
I mean, there's some studies, and I'm not supporting this, that hemp is actually good for you, has some medical for cancer patients and things like that. Spice has no upside but going to jail.
The only spice I know is oregano, and I do a lot of it.
I'm on spice and hemp right now. I'm higher than a kite. Let's talk about the Masters badges and the concern for counterfeit badges. How can we tell if it's a counterfeit badge? What should we be wary of if we want to buy a Masters badge?
Well, you know, where we grew up, if things fell off the back of the truck, right away that sort of meant that it wasn't your, you know, the most legal activity that occurred. So when you're going to buy one of these, you want to make sure it's through an approved vendor. These tickets are encrypted with all kinds of technology, just like money and your credit card nowadays, so they can be checked. It's a felony to sell these tickets because counterfeit because of the pricing. There's scalping laws in Augusta. It's got a 2,700-foot radius from the front steps. There's people getting arrested day and night. It's a real money builder for the city of Augusta.
All right, Ray. Always great to hear from you and great to get in touch with Ray. A lot of ways to do it on Facebook, on Twitter, LinkedIn as well, and you can call him. You see his great commercials running to get in touch with him for any needs you might have. I want to thank Steve Weish for joining us from the NFL Network. Thanks to Barrett Salih from theBleacherReport.com. Hopefully, Nick, the spice will wear off soon. Don't take your clothes off. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week on the Dantanna's Late Shift.
Where'd my spice go? Did you take my spice?